Okay, we can start.
Yes.
Bhante, how did you become a Buddhist and what have you done as a Buddhist?
I became a Buddhist in India when I had an exchange program to study in India in 1990. So when I went to the university, I found 2 monks from Thailand, and they had a big influence on me. They were kind, they were very happy and peaceful. They invited me to the temple, they gave me food, and they told me they're Buddhists. And I didn't know who's a Buddhist. The only word I knew actually was Gautama. And I didn't know that even he was a Buddhist. So that's from my history, primary 6. So I got slowly by slowly interested in Buddhism. I went to Dharamsala and I met His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And then his personality had a big influence on me because he's an embodiment of compassion. So later on, I heard that there's what you call a retreat for 12 days in 1994. I attended that retreat, and there was practices such as mindfulness and watching your intentions, silence, and quieting the mind. And that really had a big impact on me because I felt more peaceful after the retreat. And that brought a lot of interest in my journey to Buddhism. Of course, it was the first time in my life to see different religions. So I wasn't sure which one is the best. Hinduism was there and other different kind of religions. But Buddhism stood out for me because of the systematic teaching of the Noble Eightfold Path, the teaching on love karma, the teaching on the final revelation, Nibbana. I say, wow, this is very good. Before I knew only heaven, I can go to heaven. Here now, I can go beyond heaven. So I got hooked. That's why I got interested in Buddhism and how I got interested in Buddhism. And what I've done as a Buddhist, of course, I became a monk. Then after that, I built a temple in Uganda, the first temple in Uganda, the first and still the only temple in Uganda. We have a population of 41 million people in Uganda. Still, we have only one temple. So then I ordained my mother as a Buddhist nun. Also I've done that. And also our temple has ordained 3 monks from Uganda, one from Rwanda, another one from Egypt. And also I've created a Sima hall, it's called Sima, boundary for ordination. So we can ordain monks in Uganda. We don't have to take them overseas to ordain. Before we had to do so, and now we don't have to. So then I've created also what we call Peace School. It's a preschool where we can teach children from the very beginning. We can teach them Buddhist values and African values, like learning meditation. So we hope that people in my community in Uganda, in our country, they can come to Uganda Buddhist Center and learn Buddhism. And we want Uganda Buddhist Center to be the center of Buddhism in not only Africa, but in the world, but of course starting from Uganda. So we want to invite people from around the world to come and see African Dharma, Buddhism, because ours is going to have a flavor, a chocolate flavor, African Dharma. So then we have a big role to play in Uganda, especially our school. We want the school to go into primary school, secondary school, and even the university. I hope I live long enough to see an African Buddhist university in Uganda.
How did you come to know Ajahn Brahm?
Actually, I came to know Ajahn Brahm when I had just ordained as a monk. I was listening to Dharma talks at Bhavana Society, starting with Bhikkhu Bodhi. But Bhikkhu Bodhi's talks were very deep and very profound and very scholarly. So when I searched for some talks to listen to in the evening, because we didn't have electricity in Kutis, so our evening was split between meditation and listen to Dhamma talks. So after listening all talks of Bhikkhu Bodhi, I googled and found out Ajahn Brahm talk. And I found out it had a very good sense of humor that I didn't find with the Bhikkhu Bodhi. So I started listening to talks to Ajahn Brahm, from Ajahn Brahm. And these talks were many talks. So I started choosing some of specific talks were very funny. And that helped me to balance Bhikkhu Bodhi, which was like deep and no jokes, and no profound. I mean, they were very profound, but there was no that kind of lightness. And Ajahn Brahm was talking about stories and all these things, telling stories and laughing. And so that was 2002. I was listening to many talks of Ajahn Brahm, but I had not met him before. Until I went to Thailand in 2006, I think, and 2007. I met him in Thailand during United Nations Vesak Day. Then I went to Japan when I was selected to be a member of the World Buddhist Summit and representing Uganda as a delegate from Uganda. So, and Ajahn Brahm being a representative of Australia, so we met in 2008, both of us as representing our own countries. After that, I met him again in Thailand, then Vietnam, then I was in Germany, Frankfurt. I heard he's coming to give a talk, so I listened to him and then followed him in another meditation center and attended these retreats. And I found out the German people are very serious, but when Ajahn Brahm was teaching, the Germans were laughing. I said, wow, that's amazing. So then I met him in Australia, when I was in Melbourne, because he's a spiritual advisor in Melbourne. It's called Buddhist Society of Victoria. So we used to stay in the same dwelling, the same house, and I attended his talks. And then I ended up in Perth on a conference when he invited me to be one of the panelists in that conference. Is called the Global Buddhist Conference. And he invited me, of course, to give a retreat at Jana Grove, but of course I don't have enough time to give retreats at Jana Grove. But he invited me to give a talk at Bodhi Monastery, which I gave. I gave a talk, and I gave also a talk in Jana Grove. So then I met him in Singapore. So I meet him in many places. And Ajahn Brahm is always close to my heart. He's a wonderful monk. Venerable, is very respected, well respected. So I like him.
What do you think is Ajahn Brahm's distinctive contribution to Buddhism?
Wow, there's a lot. Ajahn Brahm has contributed a lot to Buddhism, but more specifically to one area which is very, very important, is the ordination of bhikkhunis. And really, he has done a lot. I know many monasteries and nunneries that he's supporting. I've been to them, to those monasteries in Perth. So he has supported, of course, bhikkhuni ordination. And also he has written a lot of books, very interesting books with stories. But also he has contributed in his style of teaching. His style is more flexible and very... he breaks the Dhamma in a very interesting way. He breaks it down in a very interesting way that is coupled with stories and his personal experience, with so many analogies and all this. So he makes the Dhamma accessible. I think that's his distinctive qualities. Yes. And of course, he has ordained many monks. I know I've had, he has a manufacturing plant for monks. They're all lining up. Yeah, so that's a big contribution. So, in Australia. He has popularized Buddhism in Australia.
How about some personal anecdotes or stories that you have with Ajahn Brahm?
Well, there's so many, but what I can remember is when he said that you cannot cure, but you can care. I love that very much. Another one is that was a conference in Thailand when he said that the role of monastics in politics is that of a referee, not a captain. In other words, as a monk, when it comes to politics, we should not be players of politics, but we can advise. But for me, back in 2003, he mentioned something that's really up to now I like very much. It's about the priorities in life. They give Dharma priority compared to other things. And he related a story about, I think it's an experiment done by a professor at the university. It was like having 4 ingredients and a glass, and there was a big stone, there was pebbles, then water and sand. He said that, please carry out this experiment and see if you can fit everything in the glass. So then the students start doing this experiment, and of course they started with putting water, and then put sand, put pebbles. And then by the time they brought a big stone, it could not fit there. According to this experiment, the best way to carry your priority is to put the big stone first. If you put the big stone there first, everything is going to fit. Everything is going to fit if you put things according to the order of priority. And in this case, the big stone represents the Dhamma. So if you put the Dhamma first in a glass, then you bring small pebbles, and then you put sand there, and then put water there, everything is going to fit there. So for me, that was a very, very good analogy that up to now, I remember it very, very well. I remember very well. So most of us, we are struggling as lay people with our jobs, our family, friends. So it's very, very difficult to find time to practice the Dhamma. And if we don't have priorities, and we give priorities to attending weddings and all these things, then Dhamma will not have a chance. Maybe coming to Uganda and attend a retreat. You say, oh, maybe next year. Oh, come to Uganda. Oh, it's too hot. Come to Uganda. Many mosquitoes. So the reason why you set many mosquitoes is that you haven't given Dhamma priority. But give Dhamma first there, and then everything will fit. You'll go to the wedding. You'll attend everything. So that's why I like his analogy very much. Thank you very much.
Now we go to the present state of Buddhism, the problems, opportunities, and whether we are heading in the right direction.
Well, there's a big problem facing Buddhism in general. There are so many problems, but I'll just mention one. Is Buddhism is, of course, evolved from India, went to all different countries, Thailand and Sri Lanka, we find it in China, Korea, and Japan, and today in the West. So where it started, it's preserved in 2 languages, even more. We can talk about Pali and Sanskrit. And of course, Chinese also. You can find Chan Buddhism. It's a lot in China. We have Agamas. So what's going on now is we have so many people who know Buddhism in these languages. Mostly they're monastics, and they don't know English. With the language English is, of course, spoken by many people in the world. So you find many well-trained monastics in Sanskrit, in Chinese, in the Pali language, but they don't know English. That means they cannot explain what they know to other people who need to know, to Ugandans, to Westerners. So then we have people who know a lot of these languages, like Pali and Sanskrit and Chinese and all, but they cannot express themselves to the audience, to the big audience, to the Westerners, to different countries, you know. So that's a big problem. Now we reverse that. We have so many people who speak English, but they don't know Pali. I mean basics at least. You should know the basics. What's dukkha? You know, in Pali, so that you know precisely what the Buddha was talking about. You don't have to know all the Pali language and the grammar and all these things, but at least to know the basic teaching of the Buddha in the original language. So that also caused a problem in that we have many people who speak English, but they didn't learn the Dhamma in the original language. And then what happens is that they try to patch Buddha's teaching with other Western teachings, like psychology and all these things, in order to justify their points. So in other words, there's a lot of patching, because people know English and they could not access the original language, and they think there's something missing. The Buddha was not, he didn't complete his teaching. So that means they justify it by introducing more teaching from other traditions. So while it's good to share or illustrate this in this Buddha's teaching, but the problem is overdoing it, and you're not really talking exactly what the Buddha was trying to talk about. That becomes a problem. So you keep on missing the points. So in short, the biggest problem is more of the language, that we have more people who speak Pali and cannot teach, and there are more people who speak English, can teach, but they don't know deep Dhamma based on the experience. So the key to this is actually to people to learn. This is not a big problem. People can learn and embrace. Those who don't know Pali, they should learn English, and those who know English, they should learn a little bit of Pali, so that they balance out. The opportunity is that actually Buddhism, at this current age, in this contemporary world, it has many applications in the medical world, mainstream medicine. Mindfulness can be applied in different fields like psychotherapy and psychoanalysis. In every field, you can apply mindfulness. Banking, myself, I've taught mindfulness in NZ Bank in Melbourne, at the 10th floor in a boardroom. Twice I've given talks in a bank. Even the Buddha talked to bankers, lawyers, different people. So that's the opportunity that Buddhism has a wider application, and also Buddhism in many ways doesn't contradict with scientific findings. While other religions, you find out that there is always a contradiction between modern science and all that. Buddhism seems, when it comes to modern science, especially these sciences like quantum physics and neuroscience, it actually corroborates with Buddhism. That's the opportunity we have, but we have to take on the challenge by really make sure that we teach the pristine Dhamma the way how the Buddha intended to teach it. Yes.
What are the dangers and opportunities for technology in Buddhism?
Well, technology is very good, and technology is here to stay. It has helped us to really spread the Dhamma. We have websites. We have Tipitaka now online. We have many Dhamma talks. You can find Dhamma talks of Sister Sylvia Bay. You can find Dhamma talks of Ajahn Brahm. You can find all these teachers, they can be recorded. and then you can listen to them. Yes, before that, no, technology, we had a problem. You have to travel all the way to Uganda to listen to Bhante Buddharakkhita. Now you can just be in Mongolia and just go on the internet and listen to Dhamma talks. We can send emails and all these things. It's really good. And we should use a technology, of course, to help us to spread the Dhamma. The problem where it comes is misusing, I think. Misusing, and when we misuse technology, then we are spending more time instead of time to meditate, and then it's taking much of our